Welcome back to Outdoored. Today we're going to be doing a video on how to fish the Senko for bass. This lure or this bait is special to me, guys. It's really the one that got me kind of hooked on bass fishing. It also gave me a lot of confidence, which is a real big deal when you fish. Especially, I think this bait is great for beginners, like somebody that is just getting into fishing. I think it's a great lure to kind of learn, how to fish a worm, and a bait that you're going to get a lot of bites on. Before we get into the video though, I'm going to roll in some footage of me actually fishing the Senko. I'm going to try to cover everything as fast as I can without drawing this out, but I just wanted to let you know it's not going to be me just standing here talking. I'm going to roll in footage of me actually, catching some pretty decent fish on the Senko. It's one of my favorite baits. Like I said, it's something that's definitely helped me a lot, and it's very simple to fish. So if you're brand new to fishing or you're a beginner, this bait is perfect for you. I'm going to go down everything for you. Things like, what hooks I use, the size, weighted versus unweighted, weedless versus wacky rig, Texas rig versus wacky rig. There's a bunch of different ways you can rig the Senko these days, guys, and it just seems like more and more techniques are coming out. So I'm just going to go over what I feel like is what most people use, and that's like a wacky weedless rig and a Texas rig. So if you haven't subbed though, make sure you smash that subscribe button down for me. Give this video a like. Definitely make sure you drop a comment and let me know if you guys like these types of videos. Also, let me know down below if you caught maybe your first bass after watching a Senko video, or let me know what your favorite stick bait is to throw. Ring that notification bell too, guys, so you get all my videos as soon as they drop. So right before I get started, there's plenty of these Senko videos out there with people that got much more experience than me, but I just wanted to do this video because, like I said, the Senko is definitely a special bait to me, and it's really my go-to. So I just wanted to kind of put my spin on it, or some tips on how I fish the Senko, and give you things from my angle. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So right off the top, I want to start with this. Anybody can catch a bass on a Senko. I want everybody, especially if you're brand new, to know that it's not hard to catch a bass at all. And I think this is a great bait to start with. And if I can teach you guys something or leave you with something that helps you catch a bass, that's what it's all about. Okay, so I'm going to go over the technique on what a bite feels like and how to get a bass to actually, eat your bait. Now, before we get into tackle and stuff like that, I want to kind of focus on, just getting that bite. So for example, we'll just go with a spinning rod setup, which I feel like most people will have, especially if you're just getting into it. It's my favorite way, to fish the Senko. I wacky rig it on a spinning setup, and I'll go over that later in the video, what exact setup I have, line, reel, rod, hooks, all that stuff. But so once you're rigged up, if you see any type of structure in the body of water that you're fishing, throw it out there to it. Let it fall. It's important, before you reel up your slack or anything like that, let the Senko hit bottom. So, give it a couple seconds to settle, and it'll have a certain shimmy or fall depending on what brand of stick bait you're using. But sometimes you might get bit right away. Sometimes you might not. If you don't, just reel up the slack, and what I do is I'll pop it hop it. Basically, you're hopping it with the rod tip. Boom, boom, twice. Then let the bait fall. Okay, if you don't get nothing again, same thing. Give it 3 hops. Boom, boom, boom. Let it fall. It takes a couple seconds for it to get back down, and a lot of times you'll feel a couple taps, a couple bites on your bait. You'll know it, and if you do get a bite, you want to reel up your slack and then set the hook, okay, immediately. So sometimes if you let the bass take it too long, they'll swallow it, it'll get in their stomach, and you don't want none of that. So also, sometimes you might not feel the bite, and it's better to kind of use a bright colored braided line. That way you definitely want to watch your line, because sometimes the bass will just pick the Senko up and swim away with it. So if you see your line just all of a sudden moving, tighten up that slack, set the hook, and you'll catch that bass. I want to hop back real quick, feeling the bite. You'll know it when you feel it. It's kind of hard to explain that, but once you feel it, you'll know what I'm talking about. I've had it happen too, and I'll show you in this video. I didn't feel the bite. I didn't see the line move. I just reeled up slack and lifted a little bit. And if you feel weight or if you feel like you're snagged, set the hook. Chances are that's a bass. Some other places to throw it though, like if you see shade up under trees, like, you know, if you're in a pond and you see a drain or a fountain, you know, throw it there. Like high target areas, throw it anywhere really. Throw it out in the middle of the pond too. You can get bet out there too. So, you know, just keep throwing it. You'll eventually catch a bass. In like reservoirs and stuff, unless you got electronics, it's kind of hard to fish it deep, but you can throw up shallow under the trees, like, you know, where there's laydowns, any type of wood cover or shade, like, is a great place to throw the Senko. Anywhere where you think a bass might be, throw it over there and you're probably going to get bit. I kind of wanted to go over like how to do it first, and now I'm going to get into the tackle. It all kind of goes hand in hand, but that's your spinning rod setup, and that was called a Wacky Rig is what I just explained, and that's my favorite way to fish the Senko. Like I said, you can also fish it on a Texas rig, and that's more weedless. They do have like a weedless Wacky Rig that I use from Eagle Claw, and it's like it's got two pieces of plastic that sticks over the, you know, hook to try to keep grass and stuff like that off of your bait so you don't get hung up as much. But so the Texas rig, you can fish it weighted. You can put a little tungsten weight on it, like an 1/8 ounce weight. You don't need a lot of weight, guys. The Senko has plenty of good weight by itself. You can cast it a long distance and stuff. So, but if you want to weight it, get a little bit more castability or get it down quicker if you're fishing deeper, you can put a tungsten weight on it. Just watch if you have a lot of grass wherever you're fishing. You know, you want to kind of the Senko to sit on top of that. You don't want it to go to the bottom where nothing can see it. So you don't want too heavy of a weight. Like I'm saying, unless you're, it depends on the cover you're fishing and stuff like that too. If you need to punch through stuff, you can also do that with a heavier weight with the Senko, or if you're pitching and flipping and stuff like that. But I don't want to complicate that. So let's kind of go back a little bit. So that's the two different ways to fish it: weightless, weighted. You can also fish it, you know, weightless on just a Texas rig hook, and that's fine too. Okay, I kind of feel like the Senko is a finesse approach, just because you kind of got to slow down. You can kind of fish it fast, but it's not really a bait you're going to be covering a ton of water on quickly, so you kind of got to slow down with it. I will link everything down in the video description below, as far as, like, you know, the hook sizes, everything you need to get set up to fish the Senko, and that I go over in this video. I will link it down in the video description below for you guys so you have it. So, like, as far as hook size, the Trokar weedless Wacky hook that I use, it's either 1/0 or 2/0. I would prefer the 1, but if you want to go a little bit bigger, you can go to the 2. I fish the 1 the majority of the time, and the hookup ratio, guys, with the weedless Wacky rig is through the roof. So I prefer that. You might get hung up a little bit more because you got that exposed hook point versus the Texas rig, but I catch most of my bass. You're always going to lose fish with anything. That happens, but you will notice a huge hookup ratio increase if you just go with the Wacky Rig hook. They just get that hook good, and, you know, like I said, I'll link it down below. The Trokar weedless Wacky hook is an awesome hook. I've caught a lot of fish on it, and like I say, they stay pinned. So I just wanted to go over that real quick. Texas rig, like an EWG hook or whatever style you want to use, 3/0 or 4/0, you can kind of lay the Senko next to the hook, kind of look at it and know what, you know, where you want to be. You don't want too much hook in the bait. You want it, you know, just about right. And like I said, you can kind of eye that up for yourself and go with whatever makes you feel comfortable. I'm just trying to give you guys somewhere to start from if you didn't know. Okay, so when you rig a Wacky Rig, there's a Wacky Rig Tool. You know, you can buy them pretty much at any sporting goods store. And there's O-rings that slide over that actual Wacky Rig Tool. And then you put the Senko in the tool and then slide the O-ring over the Senko. Definitely get one of these guys. It'll save you a lot of money. It'll save your worm from tearing so often, and you won't go through as many baits. So the hook, and I'll show you, it actually goes on top of the worm underneath of the O-ring and comes back out. So you're not digging into your worm. You get a bite, the worm kind of just, you know, slides off or out of the way or up your line, and, you know, they just get the hook. So definitely I'll link that down below too. Definitely pick one of them tools up. It'll save you guys a lot of baits. The Senko too is a great like follow-up bait. Like if you're fishing something else and you get a bite and lose a fish, or you get a bite and you just didn't get it, throw the Senko behind it. It's a great way, once you know where the bass is, to catch it on something different. So I just wanted to throw that tip in there. All right, as far as size of Senkos or stick baits, my favorite is just a 5-inch. I feel like that's a very common one. It's not too big, it's not too small. They make them, you know, all the way up to 7, I think down to 3 inches. So, you know, if the water's colder, I would probably go smaller. But we're talking normal fishing conditions, like normal temps and stuff like that. I love the 5-inch. I've caught some really nice fish on the 5-inch. Figure out which ones you guys like and fish them. Some people fish the bigger, like 6 and 7s, and they say they catch bigger fish on them, which is probably true. I just prefer the 5. You don't really need any specialized tackle for it, and you know, they catch fish is the main thing. So like if you're fishing somewhere and there's a lot of like fishing pressure, like go to a smaller one. You know, it'll never hurt to do that, but they seem to eat it pretty good even in pressured lakes and stuff. So now there's a ton of different brands out there on the market. My favorite is just the Yamamoto Senko. It's what I have most confidence in. It's what's caught me the most fish. It's what I've fished the most. It does happen, I'm pretty sure they're to be the most expensive. So you know, there's other brands out there. They basically all catch fish, guys. Now, there's some variables in there. Some are going to be more durable than others. Obviously, the price. Their fall might be a little bit different because of the weight and how much salt they got in the bait. So, that's kind of the differences you're going to get. But, you know, you can pretty much catch a fish on any of them, I feel like. So, that's kind of preference. But like I said, for me, it's the Yamamotos. All right, so on to the next thing. We're going to go over color. Black and blue, green pumpkin, watermelon red. Like, that's my top 3. I throw the black and blue the most. That's what you want to be throwing in dirtier water conditions. If it's cleaner and clearer water, you want to go with the more natural, like green pumpkins, watermelon reds, kind of in between. Black and blue would be my go-to. So try to keep it simple on colors. There's so many colors out there, it's crazy. But if you can only pick a few, or you only want a couple different colors to cover you, that would definitely be it. Like I said before, I prefer the spinning combo to fish a Senko. I feel like fishing it weightless without a bigger hook in it, it just has a more natural fall. But that's just my preference. If you guys were wondering, like, you know, which one to get, I think you'd be fine just trying it on a spinning rod, like I said before, because most people probably have one of them anyway, so you don't have to go out and buy a specific setup, you know, just to fish the Senko. I think that's another like plus about it. You can fish it on, you know, either or. Okay, as far as line goes, I use any type of braided line, you know, that has some color to it, you know, so you can see if your line's moving, and keep a good eye on your line. I'd go like 20-30 pound braid, and then like a 12-pound fluorocarbon leader. You definitely want to use that leader, guys, especially your more finicky fisheries, so they can't pick your line up. You definitely don't want them to see your line. So fishing with a leader is fine. If you do straight braid, you're going to have some pretty dirty water. I wouldn't recommend it. I have done it before, but if you want to get more bites, definitely put that leader on your braided line. So if you were wondering what rod I use the St. Croix Bass Tournament Legend Series, and it's a 6/8 Wacky style spinning rod, and that's a medium power, extra fast action. I think, you know, you kind of want to stay with the mediums just because, you know, you get good, you can cast great with them. The Croix seem to be a little bit stiffer than other rod companies, so you got enough backbone if you hook up with a good fish, but it has enough tip too to, you know, cast that Senko out there. The Senko's also really good too, guys, whether you're starting out or not, because of the versatility of it. Like, you can fish it so many different ways, in different conditions and stuff like that. So that's just something to keep in mind too about it. I think that's it. There's so much I could talk about this bait. I just want you guys to give it a try. So, you know, I know it's, when you don't know what you're doing, it's kind of like, you know, you're kind of scared to try some stuff. But if you try one thing, definitely throw a Senko on. And there's not much to it. You can catch a bass really easily with it. It's really fun too. It's a fun bite. You never know what size fish you're going to get either. You can definitely catch big bass on these things, as simple as they seem. You know, it's definitely a proven bait that is going to catch you fish. So if you're, looking for something, you don't know what to try, definitely try the Senko and let me know how it went for you. I hope you learned something from this video and you can take it, use it to your advantage and go out and apply it and catch you a hog. It's fun doing these videos, especially about baits that I'm passionate about. And the Senko was, a huge one for me to getting me started and, just learning the ropes. So again, if you haven't subbed, smash that subscribe button down. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Drop a comment down below. Let me know if you caught a bass after watching this video on a Senko. Ring that notification bell too so you get, all my new videos as soon as they drop. And if you would share the video, it would definitely help the channel out. I'll catch you on the next one. Until then, you have officially been outdoored.